Hey guys, it's Deja,
This is Kara.
And this is Ed.
and this is the day's dumpster fire.
Well, that went okay.
We did it. It's fine. That was a
Ed-
trash can fire in the making.
I think Deja's on mute.
Here we are. Why do I
Well,
have
we
a
almost
problem?
did
It's a
it.
problem. So today's trash can fire.
Actually, yes,
How to press a
that's
button.
exactly what I was thinking.
Between the three of us, we don't know how to technology.
That's correct.
Right now,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah. I mean, it's a lifestyle. You get used to it.
Yeah. It's also 9 p.m. on a Wednesday. So
On a
none of us want to be
Wednesday.
alive right now.
Nope.
we're old. It's fine.
I'm so sleepy.
So yeah,
So,
I mean, we've got part one of a rather interesting episode, I think.
yeah, this is going to be a buckle up.
But first-
just a lot.
But first, what do we have for our trash can fire? Because I feel like we're all literally on the same page.
Think our wavelengths. I don't even know. Yeah, they're there. We're all there on the same page for sure.
So
Right.
for our listeners, it is the week before spring break starts. Pretty sure there was a full moon last week. And I'm thinking maybe something is off with the gravitational pull of the world at the moment because our students have been
My eyes are closed and my fingers are over them because
you
that's
can
how our
physically
students have
see
been.
them vibrate with energy. Like their energy level is
You can
through the
hear
roof.
it.
And then when you go to redirect them and you're like, okay, let's focus, we gotta get this done. We're trying to have like a good day, like a good Friday or whatever. And then you can see them physically like try to contain it. They're like, okay.
Right?
And then they lose it like 2 seconds later. Like, oh,
Levy's down.
yeah.
You redirect them like, okay, you have 1 5-minute assignment due. I just need you to do this 5-minute assignment. And they're like, okay. And then 4 seconds later, they're on the opposite side of the room, just doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And you can tell they try. Like I that's why you can't be too mad because they do. They try really hard, and then they
It's
just
not
lose
long.
it.
They don't try for very
I know.
long.
No, I
And-
know.
But they are the sweet, precious children that they are. They are sweet but psychos at the moment.
They're like that acorn that falls from a tree, and we just have to wonder how far that nut is going to fall away from a path of stability.
So it's the acorn from Ice Age is what you're saying.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a superintendent explain it to me that all students are like acorns that fall from a tree, and it all depends on how far that little nut is going to go somewhere. And I know what he means. I get that because since Tuesday, it's just been like, can you write your name on the paper?
That's it.
Just write your name. And
They
then
go get
4
the
seconds
pencil.
later, they're outside.
On the other side.
Yeah.
They're like outside running laps. And then
They
when
go
you tell
get the
them, please
pencil.
go outside and run a lap because you have so much energy, and they're happy to do it, but it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, and we can't just run children all day long to burn energy. It's
Yeah.
it's probably really cruel to do that. So here we
I don't know.
are
When I was in the 7th
purgatory.
grade, when I was in the 7th grade, I was expected to run a 7-minute mile.
Same, and it sucked, and I complained.
Same.
all of this had to run a 7-minute mile, and I wasn't allowed to use a golf cart, so I was a little pissed.
They had to
And,
tie me to a string to make sure that I could run a mile.
You're just being dragged.
Just floating in the air. That's it. It's
Floating
making noise.
Like a
You're a
balloon.
kite. You're a Deja kite just floating away.
Perfect, yeah.
So yeah, that's our conjoined trash can fire, I think. Kara, I rudely interrupted you.
You're good.
Okay.
I forgot.
Good. Well, that's our show. So we'll catch you next time.
See you later.
You're welcome.
But no, we've got an absolutely insane episode. I kind of knew something about this topic, but clearly I didn't know enough. So we're diving into Salmon
Rushdie. You gotta say Salmon Rushdie.
Yeah,
That's what I've
nothing
heard
about this.
from everyone who has an accent, whether it's an English accent or whether from the Middle East.
yeah,
It doesn't matter. It's just Rushdie. So I'm saying Rushdie.
yeah, yeah.
Sounds good.
I'm down with that because
Yep.
this guy wrote one book and it turned into a death sentence and like a bounty and a warrant for his death. And
Yeah.
oh my goodness, did it blow up over the decades.
I think it's honestly a very important story to be told, even though it's been going on since 1947 when Salman Rushdie was born. Because that was the year of the Indian independence, right?
I thought that was 1945.
1947.
Was it?
Mhm.
Okay. Or
Because it was the year that he was born.
I thought he was born, according to Wikipedia, which is highly accurate. It said that he was born 2 years after the Indian independence, after the World War II conclusion. Not that it matters at all, but there was the Tryst with Destiny story that came out at the same time of the India's independence. That was the midnight of 1945. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong.
It's
Everybody's
I don't know.
looking at me like I'm wrong.
Those are not coming out of my mouth, out of my words, just so you know. But it was the same year. Just gonna let you know.
Oh, wait. Yeah, no, okay, so I just Googled when did India gain independence. It was August 15th, 1947.
1947.
Okay, so I was clearly wrong on that. And when
Salman Rushdie's birthday is
was born was
September
June 19th.
Nope, June 19th. Yep, you're right.
1947.
September.
So close enough.
It's same year.
Yeah. We'll take that.
So it's been really going on for quite some time, and I don't know. I think it's a very important story to tell because it really shows how far something that you think is so minuscule, something that's so easy to happen, which is words, writing, can turn into death sentence. And it goes into so many very important topics, at least in my opinion. You've got some unfortunate racism, which it's history. What isn't racist about history at this point? But it affected a lot of people's lives, and it wasn't just Salman Rushdie who had to go through some pretty large, scary, dark obstacles in order to continue living. So to kind of jump into things, Salman Rushdie is an author who's written 13 novels, including Midnight's Children, which won him a Booker Prize in 1981. He, of course, as we were talking about this, he is the author of the infamous Satanic Verses, which was a book that created mass mania and just explosive enrage. And it was banned in 13 countries, and it was very offensive towards the Muslim religion. And
What year was that book written?
this was written in 1988 is when it was published.
Okay, so we're talking, because I remember my mom who entered the Satanic Panic in the mid 80s and she never left it. And she mentioned this book as one of the most evil, vile, cultish books ever written that would send anybody into the depths of hell if they ever read it. And I'm like, I kind of read a synopsis and it doesn't seem like that.
It's not. No offense to your mom. With all due respect, it's not that whatsoever.
She's dead. It's fine.
The last part of it, it did create a situation where you will probably go to the depths of hell, a specific community's eyes. I won't disagree with that part.
Okay.
It's very true.
Like you could see why some people would find it offensive and culturally offensive and all that.
Absolutely. And this is kind of going into a little bit of that cancel culture that we have nowadays that's so in our face. It's everywhere, You can't really say anything without being canceled. You have to censor everything. You have to think really deeply about the words that come out of your mouth so that someone isn't offended, which is, I am someone who believes in the freedom of speech. And my own personal opinion, this is just me, but I feel like we need to give people a platform and make our own decision from there. If they're spewing BS and it's just foul language, it's just profanities, it's discriminatory. We need to be able to hear those things to make our own choices, to make our own belief system. We have to have those nasty negativity, that nasty negativity, the negative comments, the negative words, the negative actions, in order for us to have our own set of morals, if you will. That's my own belief. That's something that I stand strong on. I do believe people should have that freedom of speech and be able to practice it.
But you bring up a good point, because this is a conversation that Kara and I have had many times, where I kind of want to dive into the modern politics a little bit. But Kara correctly brings up the point that is the instant we dive into modern politics, and I'm the kind of guy that's like, I'm in the middle. We need the left and the right talking to each other to make the best decisions. So like I don't see any one side being more correct or worse than the other. But oh my God, the world we live in now,
it feels like you have to choose a side.
Yeah, and as soon as you choose a side, you are immediately the enemy of the other side, and you will be viciously attacked.
And that comes into play a lot with this story, and I'll kind of get into it towards when I'm talking more about the details of the Satanic Verses and why it was so offensive and just absolute monster of a fire that people are still trying to put out, that will never be put out until Salmon Rushdie has died, unfortunately.
Yeah.
As what it seems. I mean, it's been going on how long? Since 1989 when it happened.
Yeah.
It's a very long time.
So how did all this start then? Like where did Rushdie get his background from? How did he go down this path of writing unnecessarily offensive books that weren't offensive?
So a little bit of background, and I do think it's important to understand his background, because his culture, his parents were Muslim, you know what I mean? And he was born in Bombay, India, or Mumbai, and his father was pretty successful. He was a Cambridge graduate, and he became a lawyer, and then after that he became kind of like a businessman, and he did pretty well for himself. And Salman Rushdie actually he's on this radio show on the BBC, and it's called the Desert Island Discs, and it's actually really, really, really cool. And I mean, there's plenty of people on there. There's lots of David Bowie, Cat Stevens. I mean, so many people, and it's really cool to really hear from them. And it's about music. So anyways, he says, and this was really funny to me, but he says, and this is about his father, he he was he was quite successful, but he spent most of his life becoming more unsuccessful. And he kind of chuckled at it, and so that kind of gives you an eye on what kind of person his dad was, I guess. But nonetheless, I mean, he grew up with kind of a cushion. He lived on the ocean side. He attended what would be kind of like a private school in the US, but a public school in the UK, which he was sent to when he was 13, which was kind of his choice. His parents kind of gave him that choice, which was really interesting, and he was really excited to do that. And so he kind of jumped on the opportunity. Now, when it comes to his Muslim background, he did not go to mosque. He would maybe go once a year, and that would be, for Eid. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't something that his parents were pretty, I would say, like liberal Muslims. They didn't consistently attend. It wasn't something that they dedicated their life to, but they did have that belief in their background. So
for our Christian listeners, they may have heard this term. In the Christian scene, there's a thing or a phenomenon or a type of person called a creaster, meaning they show up for church for Christmas and they show up for church on Easter, and that's it. And so they're called creasters, and it sounds like
that's pretty much what. Yeah.
That sounds like the kind of
exactly
philosophy.
What it was.
Yeah, that sounds like the philosophy that the Rushdie family had.
Yeah, and I kind of grew up like that too. My background was Christian. I kind of went to church, but it wasn't a consistent thing. And I don't find anything wrong with that. It's hard. It's hard to dedicate your life that much when you've got a lot going on. Now, Salmon Rushdie, he did go to a school in England, and it was the rugby school in Warwickshire, and he did not like it. He had a really hard time there. Mind you, this is, the 70s, 80s, and England was a very hard time to be brown, and there was so much, it was very heavily racist at the time. And so he made this quote in the Desert Island Disc, which I thought was spot on. He said that he was kind of the triple whammy, where he was brown, bad at games or sports, good at studies. And he was like, I had the triple whammy of targets, and it's sad, it's kind of,
that's
awful to think about, because who doesn't want to be smart?
I find it fascinating because, like, England at that time, they treated Middle Easterners I don't want to say they treated, but Middle Easterners were treated in a lot of respects the same way that African Americans are treated.
Very much so.
In America, and it took a lot of work to overcome that, to the point where when I was a kid, when I was like 12, 13 years old, my mom and I would watch the Mr. Bean show on Channel 8. And there were certain skits that they had in there where they had a Middle Eastern character speaking in a thick British accent, and I was blown away by it. I was absolutely like, wait, I didn't know people from the Middle East had a British accent.
Oh, yeah.
And then my mom was like, yeah, much of the world doesn't know that African Americans can have an American accent at the same time. And it was one of those moments where, like, my world,
that perspective.
Yeah, my world went from this to like this. Yeah, it was wild, and it's not something that I think most Americans fully understand, is the race issues.
No,
during that time.
I don't think so either, and I think that it's hard for some people. I don't know if it's like an American thing. I mean, I'm an American, so this is what I see, but I feel like some people forget that there are other races that get treated just like minorities here, if not worse. This is not something that's new. This isn't just happening in America. And I think that people kind of forget that. And I don't know. I think that it's really important to spread the fact that there's other. Think about the Irish.
Oh yeah, early 1900s Irish coming over. Yeah,
that was the Irish in the early 1900s, and the Japanese communities right after World War II.
or the Chinese
The
coming
Chinese
over
coming over after the Irish
the
came
Civil
over
War.
were treated just as badly.
Yeah, and I think people forget that. And I think because racism in America is so African American driven, it's something that is more prominent with African Americans, at least in the spotlight, which is there's so much. I could go on, but anyhow,
goodness.
But I just think that it's really important for people to remember that we only see a small part of the world. And you can't forget that there's so much than what has even happened in the last 100 years, So I don't know. I probably sound like a hippie right now, and that's totally fine. But spread peace, love, and stuff.
Ultimately, racism sucks. Racism is for losers. Acceptance is for cool people. Mm-hmm. So stop sucking and start being cool.
Yep.
Like it.
Yep, exactly. And so, imagine being a Black man, I know you guys are not Black men, but imagine being a Black man who's sitting at a table of white men. This is a very elitist white school that Rushdie went to when he was younger, and it made a really bad taste in his mouth, and he wanted to leave England.
I guess we now know how Barack Obama felt for 8 years.
I
care.
I am so deeply in the middle that I just don't understand. Like, what does this have to do with politics?
I had an African American student one time. Like he sprinkled a whole bunch of salt on a white piece of paper, and then he put like one little speck of pepper in the middle of it, and he's like, "This was Obama's inauguration."
Yeah, I mean,
and I'm like, wow. And I know he was trying to make a joke, but then when I go back and look at the footage of it, I'm like,
he ain't wrong.
Yeah, he's not wrong. And I do know that Barack Obama, in his first 2 weeks of being president of his first term, he received more death threats than President Bush did his entire 8 years prior.
Scary.
And it's like, why is this still a thing? Why are we doing this? And it's infuriating. And Rushdie was right in the middle of it, just in British form.
Absolutely, and later on, when he's becoming a writer, and he's after Midnight's Children, when he starts to get some of that fame. There is
that was the book that kind of catapulted him, right? It was Midnight Children was the thing that kind of put him on the map.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was his first big seller. That was his second novel, but it was his big one. And so there was a statement said that Rushdie was the brown guy sitting at a table full of white men. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I brought in that Black man sitting at an all white table. It's the same thing, but in a different place, and so I mean, he had a really hard time. He actually left, and his parents pretty much forced him to go back. They're like, no. You are now a Westerner.
Deal with it. Yeah, like
you are going back. You're going to Cambridge. So
that podunk little community college campus that is Cambridge, that is just for poor people. And
sorry, buddy, gotta go with the less fortunate.
Yeah, you gotta go to this podunk crap school, and you're gonna like it. And it's like one of the top 3 universities in the world.
I know. And it's obviously like you have those cultures or those family structures where you follow in the father's footsteps. You go to the same school because he went to that school, and it's that legacy, that continues that tradition. So you went back to Cambridge, and this is where he started to really like England, because he did okay. He did all right at Cambridge. He didn't have a hard time. He had some friends, he made some good friends. And at this point, he's kind of trying to figure out what he's going to do with himself, right? So obviously he's a writer, he's an author, and that's what he wanted to do. He did need a little bit of a backup plan, and his backup plan was acting. And he didn't know how far it would go, but he kind of gave it a try, and he ended up actually being on the comedy stage Footlights at Cambridge, which is big. Okay, it's the place to be. I guess I'm an American. I've never been there. I don't know. I'll never see it, but that's the place you want to get to. So that was really cool, but nothing really came from it. And then he graduated in 1968, and he actually moved to Pakistan. And the reason why is because his family moved there. And I want to take a moment and think about the reasons, and so kind of the timeline of his life. He was born the year of India's independence. And then you have the Indian partition, which mass migration. I kind of want to fact check myself, but I'm pretty sure this is like one of the largest migrations in history. And someone fact check me, please, because I really want to know if I'm correct, because I'm always right. But
well, you bring up an interesting thing here. So because he was born in India, educated in ultra low end forgettable college of Cambridge, which a certain author like J.R. Tolkien may have visited from time to time, but I mean Tolkien didn't amount to anything. And then he moved to Pakistan.
Yeah, and so the reason why, and like I said, kind of think about it. So his family was Muslim, and a big part of this partition was, where are the Muslims and where are the Hindus, And so his family ended up moving over to Pakistan because
India and Pakistan did not see eye to eye, to the point where Pakistan was divided into two. And I think they still, like in the mountain ranges, they still trade shots between each other with cannons. Like they're not close at all.
I don't think so.
Doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem
I don't
that way.
think
Also,
so.
you are right. According to the New York Times,
Doesn't seem like it.
the partition
Woo! I love being right.
was something that caused one of the biggest migrations in world history.
That would really make sense. That because I know like the northern half of India, because when we taught academic decathlon years ago, there was one theme was India, and it was we had to focus on India from 1000 BCE all the way up to the present, and there was the whole northern and eastern part of India was a huge mix between Sikhs and Hindus and Muslims. But then it wasn't until like the late 1900s that we see this massive pullout, and like India and Pakistan still have a tough time trying to work things out, to the point where there are parts of Pakistan where they have these call centers that will replicate the accent of an Indian man and say that, oh, I'm going to jail. I need you, cousin, to help bail me out. Give me $10,000 and I can get out of it. It's called pig butchering. And then India is doing the same thing to folks in Pakistan, where they're basically social engineering each other to try to like get money out of each other.
It's interesting.
Yeah. There's a podcast out there that I follow, Darknet Diaries. I'll send it to you. He has a whole episode on it, and it is amazing how like politics from the 1950s and 60s is making its way into the 2020s, and how the two countries are just battling each other.
It's so scary. It's so crazy to me. How can you? I can't be mad for more than like a day.
I'm a
just
white.
I'd be like, all right, I'm done.
I'm I'm a white fat man, and I have been called all sorts of things, and I've never been hurt. I've never had anybody like make a joke about my physical appearance or my religious beliefs or my political beliefs, and I've never been like, okay.
Deeply, deeply hurt.
Yeah, and it's funny because they're probably true half the time. And it's just
Yeah.
like, cool, it's fine. My identity is not attached to a single idea.
Yeah.
My identity is attached to what I do for a living, this little podcast that we have, my wife, my children, my writing, like my if I were to look at my political beliefs, my religious beliefs, all the stuff that we would never ever want to dive into in this podcast, that's like 3% of who I am.
Yeah.
And it's just, yeah, to me it's just fascinating how Rushdie was involved in such a time of change.
Oh, yeah. I mean, huge time from the start of his life. You know what I mean? It was like he was meant to do this. Almost.
Yeah.
Like he was born to deeply offend someone.
And the thing is that wasn't his goal. That's the thing that blows my mind. Is that he was like, I'm Muslim. I grew up in a Hindu community. I lived in a Christian nation. Like, I legitimately have no qualms against anybody. And that's
I think we're jumping the gun though, because I don't know anything about this, and you're making me a little bit lost.
Crap.
He's like, wait, stop.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's backtrack.
Yeah, let's go back. We're in part 2. Let's go back to part 1.
No, we're not that far off. We're getting there. We're pretty close. We just gotta hit some spats. So
got it.
He moved back because his parents moved to Pakistan because they were Muslim, and that's where they needed to go. That's where they wanted to go. So that's why he ended up in Pakistan. Then he moved back to the UK and he tried acting professionally, which did not do very well whatsoever. And so he ended up kind of dabbling in advertisement with a company, and I'm going to try really hard to say this word, and I think I've practiced this a couple times. Do you want to give it a go, Kara?
Sure. I've tried Greek, so I'll try this. All right, here we go. Ogilvy and Mather?
There you go. That's don't know why I can't say that.
Again, I'm looking at the notes. I'm trying to find it. It is Ogilvy Mather. Ogilvy and Mather. Yeah, that was that was like England's largest like marketing and advertising firm. In fact, there was a lot of commercials from the 70s and 80s to this day that tie back to Ogilvy Mather.
Well, there's this is kind of a really cool fact about Salman Rushdie is he ended up working there as a copywriter, and he did really well. And he actually came up with some really famous taglines that we still use even in other ways. And one of them is naughty but nice for, I can't remember, it's a UK like a cream cake brand, but it's naughty but nice cream cakes, which we kind of hear that a lot. And then he also is responsible for creating the That'll Do Nicely for American Express, which that's pretty, I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool. So he did pretty good there in advertisement, but that's just not his calling, right? His calling is being a writer. So this is where we get introduced to more of his writing. Salman's first novel was released in 1975, and this was Grimace. And he's very much, his style of writing is very much I would say mystical realism, where you kind of don't have the clearest idea. You don't know what's happening in a sense where what's real, what's not sometimes. It can be a little bit confusing.
Have you or the audience read any of like Neil Gaiman's books, like American Gods or Norse mythology or anything? Neil, I freaking love Neil Gaiman because I feel like he looked at Rushdie and he's like, that's what I want to be. And if you ever read the book American Gods, the idea is that America's belief structures were the things that fueled the gods that lived. For example, there was like 37 different types of Jesuses out there because there was 30 different types of Christian religions out there. And it was all tied into America's beliefs. But the problem is that like you were meeting characters that were gods, that were humans, but you had no idea that they were gods. And the mysticism of reality was blended into human reality. And there are so many parts in that book where like some mysterious thing takes place. Like the main character calls in a blizzard and he's not even aware that he's doing it. And you're not even aware that a blizzard is happening. He's just a guy concentrating on this abstract idea of like, oh, this guy's telling me to make a blizzard. I'm just going to think about a blizzard. And then all of a sudden there's a blizzard.
There's a blizzard.
Yeah. That's mystical. That's like mysticism / mystical realism, where you don't know what is supernatural versus what is natural versus that character's involvement.
Right. A thought, or if we're in a dream, or if in real time. And that was definitely his thing. All of his books are they're very fiction.
Yes,
very,
and you have to take it like line by line. You've got to go through and reread some paragraphs and be like, what did I just read?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to attempt to read the Satanic Verses. We kind of talked about this, but I would like to attempt to read it. I heard it's a very challenging book to really grasp because there's so much. And again, it's that mystical realism where you just have no idea what the heck is going on.
I just got paid, so I got the book downloaded and I'm going to start analyzing it on my Kindle.
Book club.
And the big Kindle, not my cell phone, but I'm actually going to I'm going to start reading it because I do know that there's a character, Archangel Gabriel.
Yes, and we'll get there.
And Kara knows a Gabriel, and that angel is actually the guy that hunts down demons and destroys them.
That's my husband.
Gabriel.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Gabriel.
And I met Gabe. He's if I was a demon, he would probably rip my head out through my legs. So I would never want to get this guy mad at me. Although I feel like it would be very hard to do that.
So Midnight's Children, 1981.
Kara's like, this is not my husband. Like, how are you drawing this
conclusion? How do I correct this?
There's so much to talk about there.
Yes, but
so
I
Salmon
plan on
Rushdie.
reading. I'm reading the book.
Yes, and we'll definitely talk about it often because I don't know, this is all so fascinating to me. But so Salmon started writing, and his first book was Grimace, and like I said, it was kind of that mystical realism. It did horribly. No one cared for it. It was very ignored. So are you going to cry about it, or are we going to try again? We're going to try again. So in 1981, he came out with Midnight's Children. And this is a fictional novel about two children specifically who are born at midnight or within the first hour. And
the first hour of India's independence.
Independence, yes.
That's where I got it mixed up. That that's where I got all that mixed up because that first hour is called A Tryst with Destiny. And there was a lot of stuff written at that time about that first hour of how does India survive, knowing that they've been under the rule of another country for hundreds of years.
Right. That's something that was really, this book meant a lot, actually. This is the book that really threw him out into the spotlight. This is really what catapulted his career. This was a very, very heavily awarded book where I could not find a total of how many awards Salman Rushdie had in general, but this did really well, and this actually kind of made him into what seemed as like a hero kind of in the Muslim community. It really did actually unite them in a sense where this is something that they're relating to even in the time that he was alive, so
Well, and I think he won the Booker Award
mhm,
once, and
mhm.
then like a year or two later, he won it again for the same book, and then it was voted like after a number of years. I don't know how many years it was of like nominating these books. It was then voted out of this collection of years of books
Yep.
as like the best Booker Award winning book, which that
Yeah. Well, yeah.
means I'm downloading that too.
And this one actually it kind of interests me a little bit more than Satanic Verses, I'm being honest. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, it does sound like an amazing book. I mean, it goes for show how many awards he's won. The fact that he kind of won the Booker Prize twice, and it did so good. It was really good. And like I said, it resonated a lot with Muslims, and it was something that they really, really were proud of him for. This is where he kind of started to be cool, and girls started to kind of like him, and he's getting some money and whatnot. And if you know anything, if there's one thing you take away from this episode, the podcast, and anything in this world, if there's one thing you take, Salman Rushdie was playing devil's advocate his entire life.
Yeah.
He loved, and he says this thing, art is made at the edge or something of that nature. Like, and so he lived by it, he really did. And he's really living on the edge now, I'll tell you what.
One thing I want to point out about somebody like Rushdie or Aldous Huxley or Orson Welles or any of these famous authors that have written a book that sets them apart from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I learned in college, and this is something that I've been trying to instill in our students, is that the only way you get this good, the only way you become an F. Scott Fitzgerald or an Ernest Hemingway or Steinbeck or whatever, Isaac Asimov, you have to read and study everything that came before you. And every one of these authors, whether it's Edgar Allan Poe or Emily Dickinson or Walt Whitman or Henry David Thoreau, like, I don't care who you look at, they were all prolific readers, and they studied everything from art and history and literature, and they studied other countries' literature and art and history. And this is exactly what Rushdie did. And so, like, when I kind of briefly read up on this guy, I'm just like, how did he find time to write a freaking book?
How did he do
and
this?
read? Yeah,
how
like,
did he do all of this?
Yeah, how do you manage your time? Like, I'm trying to write a book, and I'm lucky if I get 3 sentences down a day.
And you know what's so funny? And I have listened to, I don't know what it is about Salman Rushdie, and just listening to him talk he's an intellectual. He's very smart. And like when he is talking about something, he knows what he's talking about. And so listening to this Desert Island Disc, he talks a lot about his place in politics. He was really deeply in politics. He actually talks about Margaret Thatcher a little bit, which we'll get there.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
I think he made a quote one time, and again, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's like you have a swimming pool with hot and cold water in it. He's just swimming in it. He's not choosing necessarily a side. If the hot and cold were the left and the right of politics, he's swimming in it and he's exploring all of it. And
I think,
he's more analyzing than being critical.
and I agree to an extent. He actually was a big advocate, and I would say, depending on how you look at things, and he was in the middle, but I also think he was also kind of on the left for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that.
For sure, and so
But he was on the left to the point where he could talk to somebody on the right and work with them.
yeah, it wasn't something. Now, depending on who it is, I wouldn't have him go talk to Ayatollah Khomeini whatsoever. But
Yeah.
and we'll get there. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
It was, he was very accepting of other people's opinions, I will say.
Yes.
Now, who wasn't very accepting of something that was in Midnight's Children was Mrs. Indira Gandhi. And she was pretty pissed off at him, actually. I haven't read it. And so when I finally read it, I will point it out, maybe. Be like, oh yeah, this is what she was upset about. So she was essentially upset for one line, and she actually sued Rushdie because of this line. And she sued him for libel, which I'm here, I'm just looking from the outside in, and it goes back into the freedom of speech, and I really want to find what it is, and maybe it's just me being lazy and I just didn't look too deeply into it. But
so what it was is that he was comparing her to like a very negative character. It would be like we compare, say, some president of the United States of America to Sauron from Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Or we compare some politician to the physical embodiment of Satan. And he kind of he when he devised this character, you could read it and be like, oh, this is exactly who he's thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he doesn't call her out by name. And that's why she was really upset, because everybody was looking at this character that he had
kind of
like, wow, this crazy chick, and I used to like her, but now she's crazy. Hence,
that's kind of her.
Yeah, hence the libel part, and I can kind of see it, even though it didn't affect her all that much.
Do you want to hear something that's kind of funny?
Yeah.
So there was an occasion where Margaret Thatcher actually invited Salman Rushdie to it was like a festival of some kind back in the 80s, and Mrs. Gandhi was going, but Salman Rushdie actually declined. And so there's a part in Desert Island Disc where he talks about this situation where he didn't go to the dinner, and he's being interviewed, and I don't remember who he was talking about directly or talking to directly in the conversation, but he declined it. And she goes, how do you feel about, Mrs. Gandhi's, opinion on XYZ? And he goes, well, I was supposed to have dinner with her the other night. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, Salmon. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like there's some events, and I think anybody on this podcast can admit there were times where we walked into a super awkward situation.
Oh, yeah.
That was 100% our own doing.
Me going into class every day.
Yeah, Kara's like, no, I'm pretty good. Like, Kara's really good about not saying something stupid to get yourself in trouble. But I'm a master at it, and I'm like a Jedi Knight of walking into awkward situations that I've created.
No, I hate it. I hate it.
But yeah, like, and I feel like that's one of those cases where, like, if you were to talk to Rushdie now, he'd be like, yeah, probably could have worded that a little differently, but it's okay. I still have another working eye. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had both of his eyes at the time, so
yes, and we'll get there.
We'll get there. It's coming. So yeah, I don't know. I think that that's interesting. Words once again can get you sued.
Yeah,
which we have so much history on people being just annihilated for their words.
Yeah, even spoken words.
Spoken words, unspoken words. Doesn't it's
Words
just
are hard.
interesting. So
Yeah, you say one innocuous thing and then suddenly you get endorsed by the KKK and your reputation is blown to crap after that.
right. And
Not that that's happened to me, but I know somebody else that's happened to.
I'm here.
I'm just here.
Yeah, I've never said anything that's been endorsed by the
I'm
KKK.
just
I want to make that
here.
very clear. I just
Got it.
know a guy who knows a guy who said a thing and it didn't work out well for him.
Now, I do another thing that I want to add in here because I don't really feel like people should just go and say stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's a level of respect, a level of consideration that you have to show.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't mean that you can just go call people all these absurd names and make people feel like crap. That's abuse and that's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
So words get you places.
Yeah.
Salmon also wrote a book called Shame, and this was in 1983, portraying a political upset in Pakistan based on some characters. Now, he had another book, didn't really go too far, and that was in 1987. 1988.
Okay, wait. Before we get to 88, for the people in the back like me who are just following along, Rushdie was born on the independence of India. That one.
The year. Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Right.
1947.
And then he goes to school in England where he was bullied because racism sucks. He tries to go home. His parents sent him back. He goes. Then his family moves to Pakistan because of the migration period after the partition. And then he goes back to England, right? Still at Cambridge. He's writing, he's acting, and he's writing more, and he's starting to publish, and he's starting to hang out with famous people because of this book called Midnight Children, right? Okay.
Yes, you are doing
great.
amazing.
I also just wanted to
I'm so
summarize
proud of
for
you right
any
now.
other listeners who are listening along, like what is going on.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
That's what we needed. And don't forget, I think by the 80s, he was also in America too.
Yeah.
I think he was visiting like New York and stuff like that.
Well, absolutely. He was definitely traveling for sure. But his main home is kind of been England.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at things. We'll get there. So to kind of wrap up the book journey as far as when things start to kind of turn. So in 1988, Salman Rushdie released a novel, and this was his most controversial piece of work, on September 26, 1988. And I don't want to say he regrets it, because I do not believe he would take it back. Maybe do things a little bit differently, maybe.
Would you say this is his masterwork? Like this is the thing that he will always be known for?
Yes. This is like his legacy, if you will. This is something that will probably go down to his children and his children's children, and his children's children are going to be like, yeah, my grandfather was the guy who got his eye completely enabled because he wrote a book.
Well, and his mom.
Or disabled.
His mom received some criticism for it.
Okay, we'll get there. We'll get
there. We'll get there.
Yes.
That's part 15. We'll get there.
Yep, that's part 67. So
thank you, Kara, for being the moderator and keeping us on track.
Yes, thank you, because we both are chatty Cathys and a half each.
Yes.
So, yes, I would say this kind of his masterwork. This is something that will go down with him to the end of his day, literally. There is no proper way to summarize this, and we are hitting an hour, so I'm gonna do my best.
We're fine. We still have time for like 6 more hours, so we're good to go. Kara's just like, look. I wish we had a video podcast because Kara's look was just absolute despair.
Disgusted.
Just like,
you are disgusting. Don't say that. I'm leaving.
Like, what did I get myself into?
Deja,
I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee.
No, you're fine. 30 minutes. You got this. Yeah, I got this. You got this. I'm not worried.
No,
I'll shut up.
Fine. Good. Anyway, so
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, thank you. So, shortish summary that I can give, kind of, on the Satanic Verses. Now, this is not something I have read. I'm going to do it the best justice that I absolutely can, but I will not hit every single key point. It's impossible. Unless you want me to actually read it to you.
Read it.
So,
Sing
once upon a time.
Do it in
Once
dub.
upon a time in a land far, far away.
Got it.
This is how it goes. So this novel is based on two characters, and I'm going to try to say this last name. I've heard it so many times and it just doesn't stick. But it's the two characters are Gabriel, Farishta. Does that sound good? And Saladin Chamcha. And these are two Indian Muslim actors. Gabriel is a Bollywood superstar who specializes in roles depicting Hindu deities. And Saladin is a immigrant who wanted to kind of shed his Indian background, which makes me frustrated, which kind of is the part of the book, and wanted to kind of become a voice actor in England. In the beginning,
I knowing Rushdie, there's a reason for that.
Well, exactly, and that's kind of where you're like, okay, I really think that's a sad concept to grasp, but there's definitely a meaning. That's like
a subplot. He purposely put that in there. Yeah, he purposely put that in there because anybody who would have been born and raised in that area would be like, oh yeah. I totally understand where Saladin is coming from. I get it. Meanwhile, people like us are like, cool, a voiceover actor in England. Let's go.
Right. Let's do this. So in the beginning of the book, both of them are stuck in a plane that is taken over. Now, this plane is flying from India to Britain, and the plane explodes. And the two are kind of falling, and they are so magically saved. And this saving grace was Gabriel was kind of transferred into the Archangel Gabriel. And he has various dreams. Now, Saladin being the devil, growing horns and goat legs with cloven hooves.
Which is a Christian, very, very Christian interpretation of the devil. Not a Muslim version of a devil.
See what we're doing here? Let's continue.
Yes. Kara's just like, oh, it's too late for this.
Just like, wait, what did I actually get myself into? Can we stop?
No, we're fine. I'm just listening. I'm being a good listener. Continue.
You are being now the other one over there. We'll work on it. This is a hard book to summarize, like I've said, and it's really, really hard to analyze. So,
but you're doing great.
Thank you.
This is.
I'm trying.
Intense. Yeah. I'm
trying to articulate my thoughts while looking at my notes to remind myself what my thoughts should be of. So bear with me. Now, it's a very multi-layered plot. Like I said, it's that mystical realism where you just don't really get it. We're going to talk about some key points.
Okay.
And in my notes, I would say, or we would miss next week's class,
spring break,
which we don't have now. So, you're like, that's fine, no problem. Let's talk about the name of this story, the Satanic Verses. Okay, this name is already a problem. It's already a problem, and the reason why it is a problem is because of there is a part of the story of the Prophet of Muhammad where it is said that you can be polytheistic. You can have multiple, up to 3 deities or 3 gods that you can look up to, right? Mm-hmm. And that was actually it was taken back, and so it was kind of said to be induced by the devil. That was the devil's words. And this story in itself came off and is kind of referred to and deemed untrue and is very offensive, actually, because it can kind of be a smear.
Yeah, it's basically saying that Muhammad was taking advice from a devil.
And it wasn't his own words.
Yeah.
It wasn't a verbatim story. And that is something that is so serious. So serious in Islam. And it is one of the biggest parts of their belief. This is the story. This is the word. This is the word from the Prophet of Muhammad and no one else and everyone. And yes, Kara, do you have a question or are you just really excited? Got it. Okay.
I think the best way to equate it for like the Western folks out there is, let's say we all know like the Bill of Rights. We know the Constitution. We know our rights. We know it's been written down. It's been signed. That this is locked into the American zeitgeist of what rights Americans have. And then suddenly we find out that apparently none of that is true, and that there's like another document out there that states that everything that we had adhered to in our Bill of Rights is completely false. That is in a Muslim culture, Muslim society, especially very conservative societies, say like in Iran, that law that they adhere to in their government is the same law and truth that stems from their spiritual texts. And to criticize that would be to it would be like criticizing our Bill of Rights in America and saying that it came from England.
It's a bunch of mumbo jumbo from
whatever, or it's
know.
falsified or whatever. Obviously, I don't think Americans would take it that seriously, but if you are born and raised in a culture where that is where your religious beliefs and the law of the land is tied together, I can see why people would be a little upset.
Well, think of deep-rooted Christianity. You know, some of those more serious
Orthodox,
Christian, very, FLDS. There's some serious religions that are very, this is the right way. You cannot tell me the other way. There is no way I'm going to think otherwise. There's just no possible way. This is my life. This is what I live by. I don't really see a problem with that until it gets dangerous.
Yes.
That's the thing is, I think and we'll kind of get into it more, but what I think is important to remember is that if someone isn't hurting you, why do you care?
Yeah. Well, and only point that I was trying to make is that like this concept of writing an alternate historical narrative to many Westerners would be like, okay, that'd be a fun read. Hence, Paradise Lost, John Milton, the story of Adam and Eve told from Satan's perspective. Like to us, this isn't a big deal, but I can see why to other cultures this would be a huge attack,
a serious offense.
And I'm okay with them feeling that way until you start putting hits out on somebody's life and contracts to murder them and stuff like that. Then that's like, okay, guys, it's a book.
When things start to resort to violence, that's where we are doing something very, very, very wrong, and we need to do some self-reflection and go to therapy.
Go to your gratitude journal.
Please. So going back to the Satanic Verses, this book was consistently questioning Islam. Constant. And that point right there is kind of simple. If you are so deeply rooted into this belief, questioning my belief is absolutely a no-go. You will not. That's not going to work.
It's against the law.
In part 5, now this did piss a lot of people off. In part 5, there is a girl claimed that she is getting divine messages from Allah, and he is giving her direction to lead followers to Mecca through the Arabian Sea, and it'll part, just like it did with others. Moses. Sorry, there's something real deep in there.
Yeah, it's...
And so this is sparking the long argument that Allah and the Christian God are the same.
Yeah.
Not good. Moving on. This one, these next couple points really hurt me to talk about. And it's not because I have any particular belief. I just don't want to say it. It just makes me uncomfortable because I know the thing, and this is the thing, devil's advocate, Salmon Rushdie, he was brought up in the culture to know that this is so wrong. And so it is a huge betrayal in the eyes of someone who is so deeply rooted into this belief. It's such a deep betrayal because of the fact, you look at it and you know that that's so bad. Anyways, moving on. So, here's the painful part. Let me just get it over with. There is a character named Mahound.
Mm-hmm.
As the reader, you are following Mahound through his life, basically a rewrite of the life of the Muslim prophet Muhammad. And Mahound is a name that was used by the Christian Crusaders to defame Muhammad. So it is not a good name to use.
Yes.
My body hurts. My spine is stiff.
not optically. It's probably not the best way to go.
Not a good
choice.
Not a good choice.
Nope.
Yeah.
Let's make safe choices, everyone.
Respectful choices.
Please. Safe. Let's say safe too.
Yeah. Good point. Let's preface that first.
Let's keep going. So yeah, he's being pretty provocative. Now, the Satanic Verses part. This is where things really start to get very uncomfortable. Gabriel, the angel, gets messages in his dreams from Mahound. Gabriel does not believe these messages. This question pervades the book, and it implies that the Quran is the narrative written by the devil, which really pokes at Islam in its places of sensitivity. The Quran has many holes and contradictions that Rushdie likes to run with as fast as he can. Orthodox Muslims believe that Muhammad was a real person, and there's proof that he was a real person.
Yep.
I'm not going to go into the stories because it's not something that I want to do because it is not my faith. He had a lot of wives, but and so some people kind of think that his story was more so he liked to have power and wives. Then that means that they are being led by someone who is not preaching to the choir.
Practicing what they preach.
Preaching a proper gospel.
Practicing what they preach.
I want to take a minute. I want to interject something in here.
Yes, please.
Whenever we're dealing with a religion or analyzing a religion, regardless of what it is they believe in, it's always important to divide that initial leader's you got to take that human being and you have to separate it into two parts. You have to separate it into the worldly side of things, meaning this is a human being who is receiving a lot of divine stuff, but this is a human being that is having to live in a physical, tangible world. But then this being is also having to live in the secular, they're having to live in the metaphysical side of things. So a lot of times whenever you throw a religious perspective into a piece of literature and you have a human being that we know existed, whether it's like Jesus or Muhammad or Buddha or whatever, it's very important to drive a dividing line in terms of okay, this guy will be talking about having a monogamous marriage or a faithful marriage or, following these sets of laws. Okay, that's on the secular side of things, but he's living in a world where it kind of says the opposite. And so a lot of times a religious leader that's starting something of this magnitude, they're kind of straddling the line, and we have to forego criticism because he's a human being trying to negotiate the world of God and the world of man. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a critical literary theory where, like, if you take one side or the other, that religious founder is a hypocrite no matter what. But yet human beings, there's millions and millions and actually I think it's up towards like billions of people that adhere to Muhammad and Islam because they've accepted there's a dividing line and that, hey, this guy's straddling two worlds, let him figure that out. And we will figure out what it is that he's teaching us, and we'll try to adhere to that philosophy. And Kara's just like, God, I hate it when he does this.
That's fine. I was thinking about when you talk about those things as a historian, you are the most unbiased professional person.
Yes.
So what you look at when you look at a historical figure, and if you look at one who is like a religious founder, you look at the culture that they're surrounded by, you look at what they believe in, and you look at the effects that person had around them. And you look at, when you're looking at what that person believed in, you look more at how it affected the culture around them. You don't really touch on whether or not their beliefs are true. You don't touch on whether or not you think those beliefs are true because you have to be unbiased. When you're looking at it from a historical perspective, you're always looking at archaeological evidence, you're looking at culture, you're looking at society. You're not necessarily looking at the religious beliefs of the thing that the person is preaching, which is also important because that affects the culture. But culture.
Well, I mean, for the children at school, for my kids, I mean, we're focusing heavily right now on the fundamental needs of humans, and culture and religion are so closely related, you know? And so I do try to remind my children that we all here don't have to have the same belief, but we can talk about it. We can have respect for it.
Yep.
We do not have to believe it. We do not have to
live by it.
Agree with the ways. We don't have to live by it. But it's about looking at it from another perspective, saying, that's not how I was raised. I wasn't raised in that culture. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a child doesn't have the culture of understanding right from wrong until they are taught from right to wrong. They don't have that background, right? And especially as someone who isn't fully, as someone who's learning about it, as someone who's being told being educated on whatever religion, whatever culture, I think it is important to go in and look at it as an unbiased person, whether you have your own faith or not, whether it goes against everything that is a part of your faith. If you want to understand and be educated fully, you have to put your own stuff behind you and really dissect it from a perspective where I have no opinion. I don't have a belief. I don't have an opinion. I just want to learn and understand it. And maybe you even make up your mind. You're like, I agree with that. You know, that's where that change, that's where that,
that's where that
you don't want to be stagnant.
That's where that growth comes in.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be the same person I am in 10 years. Ugh.
My best man at my wedding was he was Pakistani. He was a Muslim. I knew him from high school. Monib, if you're listening, shout out, bro. I love you. We were working a late night shift at a retail store one time, and I always thought that his belief in Islam was like anti-Jesus. And I never brought it up. I never mentioned it. That's what I assumed is like, okay, yeah, he's believing in Muhammad and Jesus has nothing to do with it. Until one day I kind of brought it up. I'm like he made some comment, a religious comment on Islam, and then I made a comment about like, yeah, I mean, this is a Jesus thing, but you wouldn't know anything about it. And he's like, actually, I do.
He's like,
and I'm like, what? And he started citing off like a lot of scripture from the New Testament. And I'm like, whoa, wait, I thought Islam focused more on the Old Testament and kind of left off with the New Testament. And he's like, no, the sect of Islam that I follow, they believe in Jesus. they believe in Jesus as being a prophet of God, and his teachings are very valid. They just don't believe that he was the son of God.
Right.
That's all. Like, that is literally
Sure.
the only difference. And like, I came across a guy that knew more about the teachings of Jesus more than I did, and I'm a Christian. And that's one of those were one of those moments in my early 20s where like my horizons expanded. And I feel like when we're talking about Salmon Rushdie and we're talking about this time period in the 80s, and those boundaries became more and more restricted, where you could only have Islam on one side, you could only have Christianity on the other side, and there's no way that they can meet up in the middle. It's physical. You can't do it. It would be sacrilege to do it.
Yeah.
So go people.
Good stuff. Then one more time. Then the brothel.
Nice.
Oh, there's always a brothel.
Hey, I'm not gonna knock brothels.
Mhm.
Oldest profession in world history.
Yep.
And I'm just saying, historically speaking, it's a good conversation to have. That's all. I'll leave it there.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure. However, I'm uncomfortable because of what I have to say next. So a brothel, the brothel in this great book that had no offensive anythings was called the curtain. The direct translation of the curtain is the veil, or headscarf.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, calling the brothel the hijab.
Oh,
that's not good.
Boy.
Sure, bring
Do
it on.
you want more?
That's not good. Wait, there's more.
There's more. But it gets worse.
And it's your turn to now facepalm yourself many times. For two parts. The sex workers in the brothel were named after Muhammad's wives.
That's a bad deal. So choices were made.
Suddenly, my story of dumping detergent into the ocean doesn't sound so bad.
We should have saved those sighs. Kara should have saved her sighs.
I told you I'm going to have to find a palate cleanser.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Tag, you're it.
So, again, this is insinuating that Muhammad was making crap up along his way. Not good.
No, this is...
How do you guys feel right now?
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've said dumber things in my time. So,
I'm sure you have.
But yeah,
also...
you've known me since August. Like, I've already probably surpassed Rushdie and the dumb stuff that I've said. So I'm okay.
You are very thankful. You need to be thankful that I am... Oh, gosh, I don't even know. We'll talk about it later.
Open-minded, not easily offended, not...
and kind and understanding and just
compassionate.
Here to have... I'm just like friends. Happy you're my friend. All right. So that being said, there were death threats. Things started to get really heated. And now I want to preface that this was before the day of that fatwa.
Yeah.
5 months? Let's see. Wait. 5 months. No, I didn't count the months on my finger.
I do it too. That's fine.
Didn't happen. I'm like, no, I can teach. Wait, 1, 2, 3,
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Okay, yeah.
8 months.
This little, not related whatsoever, but there's this part in Shrek where they're picking the wife and it's Fiona and the guy goes, pick number 3, my lord. And he puts up the number 2.
I love it.
So, this was 5 months before the fatwa. It took a little bit of time. There were death threats. Salmon was pretty afraid for his life. He really set a fire, shall we say.
Yeah.
Mosques were hanging offensive pictures, or pages, excuse me, that were offensive towards them, obviously, on the walls. And they were sending it to other mosques.
It basically turned
Great.
into, like, in the world of John Wick, there was bounty put on Rushdie's head, and there was a certain amount of money that will go
We'll get there.
to
We'll get there.
anybody that
Stop.
would take him out.
We'll get there. I really want to talk about it, but we'll get there.
Okay, I keep jumping ahead.
You are so eager, and I'm so excited for you to get through this. So excited.
I don't know anything about this topic, so I'm just trying to be along for the ride.
So there was a Bradford protest, and now at first things were pretty, they were a little more peaceful. There were peaceful protests, letters written, then that stopped. And there is a protest known as the Bradford protest, where they burnt, and this was the first Satanic Verses book, and this started to burn the book, burn the man was taken very seriously.
We're still in 88?
We are still in 88. Same year. And so that being said, this book ended up really separating Muslims from those who did not agree with the fact that people were outraged, and then those who were outraged, those who were just like, I just want freedom of speech, everyone get along, why can't we just all be happy, and I and it's something that's very interesting, but the story kind of reminds me a lot of American politics, which makes me kind of sad. It's really hard for you to have a conversation, just kind of like what we were talking about, whether you're right or left, or in the middle. It's you really can't please everyone. There's no way for everyone to just accept it. It's my way or the highway, and if you don't agree with me, well, you suck. You're worthless. Your opinion means nothing.
Yeah, you're
your
like
life means nothing.
You're like Anakin Skywalker. If you're not with me, you're against me.
And then kill all the babies?
And then kill the younglings. Oh,
yep.
Poor Padawans. Just
well,
trying
he already
to
did that
Jedis.
Prior, and then Obi-Wan is like, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. I could quote that whole scene, but I'm not.
I mean, it's a good reference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just goes to show polarization. Polarization is a very dangerous thing. And
this is also a common thing in history. It just continuously repeats itself, and we just do not learn from it.
That's why we
and any society that polarizes itself kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
That's a growing trend. Like,
it's been going on forever. I want to move into Ayatollah Khamenei.
Oh, nice pronunciation.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
That sounded like...
You practiced that, huh?
I just want to be right.
That's fair.
I mean, well, I'm looking at it as Ayatollah Khamenei.
Oh, that sounds like when somebody says Portilla. It really just...
Portilla?
It bothers
or
me.
Casilla?
Oh, no, don't do that.
Casillas?
Yeah. As I exit my trailer, talking about how I'm going to pronounce 4 names. Casillas and Oimnai.
So, watch your words. Ayatollah Khamenei. And I will say this, when I was in property management, I worked with a lot of international students, and I had a lot of Middle Eastern students who went to ASU. And I had actually 2 residents who would constantly put in work orders. I was like, guys, I need to get something out of this. You're not tipping me. Like, I don't get paid for these work orders. I already rented to you. Help. And so basically every Sunday, it seemed, they would come down, one of them, they would put in a work order. And I was like, okay, I want to learn a word. I want to learn one word in Arabic. And the only couple words that I remember is gawa, which is...
Tracks.
I feel like that would be on your list of priority words to learn in another language.
That I asked. Like, Donde Escawa? Musej. I'm trying to say that the right way. He really made me work on it.
Yeah.
But it's like a throat thing. Musej. It's like in the throat. I can't do it. That means nosy. I'm sure you guys can figure out why.
I think he's trying to say you're a busybody.
Well, I'm like, so what's the scoop? Can you tell me the scoop? What's going on after work? What's going on in the dark?
Wow.
So yeah, he would call me Miss Musage. And then there were a couple ones, but I will not repeat them because they're not good language words.
They're not school appropriate?
Nope. Not safe for work.
Fair enough.
So that's my background on my Arabic skills.
You learn how to say inappropriate things in another language, and so now you're like a master of like phonetics.
Expert. Here we are. Translate any day. Pay me first.
Like, I'm going to go to the UN. I'm going to start translating everything for everybody. So what could possibly go wrong?
He said he's pretty pissed off. Oh my God, we need to fix that. Like, you really need to call him back.
Stop ghosting me. That's what he said. That's what I heard.
Riz. He said that's Riz.
This ambassador has serious cap and drip going on right now.
Why is this guy important?
He's important. He was an Iranian Islamic revolutionary, political figure, religious leader.
Cats.
He served as guys, this is so important, and I really don't want to fatwa over my own head.
All right.
I'm trying to do it justice. Right, okay,
I'm just dying because like Kara's like herding sheep
with her blanket or what have you.
Like the gift she sent out, like the guys like putting all these cats in place, and that's Deja and I. Just we're like a bunch of cats wandering around.
Ayatollah Khomeini was an Iranian Islamic revolutionary, political figure, religious leader, and he served as Iran's first supreme leader following the secular monarchy. Mohammed, help me, Kara, Reza Pahlavi.
Yeah, you do good.
Yeah, I would say it's Pahlavi.
Pahlavi? Okay.
Yeah.
Who replaced his father, Reza Shah Pahlavi, who was forced into exile by Russia and the UK in 1941. This is sad. Mohammed launched the White Revolution. So basically, he wanted to westernize and urbanize Iran, which
because we
not
that has gone well throughout history.
It is going great to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, that was not something that people wanted. Ayatollah Khomeini was looked at as kind of the person who was trying to keep them separate from the West. They didn't want that. They're like, we don't want to, we just figured with like, why can we not do this? So
they were like, isolationists? like they wanted to be their own entity and then have nothing to do with the outside world?
I mean, they're kind of there. If think about it.
Yeah.
Do you kind of categorize them with other places in the world?
I mean,
they are very much
Iran,
their own places.
The Iranian resorts are beautiful this time of year, if you could get to it. Mm-hmm. So, but this dates all the way back to 1941?
Yeah, when that monarch, 1947 is when the Indian Revolution happened, so... yeah, I mean...
I didn't know it was that old. That's interesting.
And it's... Sorry, I just smacked something. I don't know if you remember. Anyways. Apologize to the microphone. I'm so sorry, sweetie.
It woke Kara up, so we're good. Now she can corral us back in.
So yes, this has been going on for quite some time. This entire fight has been going on for such a long time. That's why it's such an important story. Ayatollah Khomeini was really trying to keep them who they are, what the community has wanted. They don't want to be whitewashed, is what people would call that.
Okay.
In today's day and age. The community really liked that. People really like that. And that's fine. If that's what people want, as long as you're good people, I don't really care. I just want to add in there that Ayatollah Khomeini was Time Magazine's Man of the Year in 1979.
That? Wow.
Hubba, hubba, bubba. So there's that.
I don't know if that Time Magazine Man of the Year thing is quite the same as, like, another Man of the Year that's based on physical appearance.
I don't know. From what I heard, he was not a smiler.
No.
It's actually heard and having a hard time. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
And what are you doing to me?
I'm not. My hands are up here. I'm not touching
Oh.
anything.
Everybody should Google this man and look at his.
So it was told that after the war, he never smiled again. And I think it shows.
Very much shows.
Because what else is very interesting, and what I want to kind of do is kind of end off on Ayatollah Khomeini, because there is a lot to go into, and I don't want to start something that I can't finish.
Fair.
But
he looks like Sean Connery.
You mean George Clooney?
No, he looks like Sean Connery.
You're both right.
He looks like Denzel. What a beautiful chocolate man.
Oh no.
I did find a picture of him smiling.
And he is dead, so we can't. We're not going to get sued. He's dead.
Are we? Is he with his grandchildren? Because what I was going to say is very interesting. A lot of people said that he was very serious.
I can see that.
His family said he was very outgoing, very kind, had some personality there. Not just this angry face.
It's probably one of those things where he was different at work than he was at home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's my dad. I mean, everyone was afraid of my dad until they got to know him. Now they're like, "Your dad's kind of dorky." I'm like, yeah, I know.
All dads are
supposed
to be that way.
You guys were scared of him, and I was like, why? It's weird. Just because he doesn't talk. Anyways, RBF is real. When Ayatollah Khomeini heard about the Satanic Verses, and this is going to be something that I'm going to cut off on because I'm not getting into it. He was angry. He was very upset. To put it in the easiest term, I have no idea how to define his feelings because they're really big emotions, and he just didn't know how to control them. Coping mechanisms, not good.
He went from a 1 to a 100 real fast.
There was no scale.
Yeah.
Like, think about how far away that first star is. Think about the second one.
Yeah. It's either 1 light year away or 100 million light years away. You pick one. That's all there is to it.
It's just upset. So he was not happy. And I think what I really want to preface on is he was a very loved, dear to people's hearts, religious leader in Iran. Deep offense. There's a lot, so much, and I'm so excited for you guys in part 2 to hear about Cat Stevens' opinion and how Larry David just is Larry David, and he actually did something kind of cool, which is so controversial, depend on who you're talking to. But good old Margaret Thatcher. We'll get there. That is Salmon Rushdie, a bit about Ayatollah Khomeini and the Satanic Verses, part 1.
All right. Did it.
Nicely done.
How do you feel?
Tired.
Like,
but I think
I feel like flying solo on like a major episode. You freaking nailed it. Like,
really?
Yeah.
I am still sweaty. I don't know if I'm like sitting here putting my hair up every 5 seconds, like fanning myself.
No, you're doing fine. You're good.
No, it's because it's hot in my house.
Yeah, it was very like thought provoking and all that stuff. So it's like I'm now going to stay up all night, like further researching all this.
Because you're not waiting. There's no way Ed is gonna wait.
And then I'll have to be like, wait, hold on.
Like, wait.
I don't know yet. Hold on.
It's like ruining the next episode of Gossip Girl.
I'm
just came out.
I'm that guy that like, I wouldn't have seen the movie or read the books, but I've studied enough literary theory where I can see how this is going to pan out. I'm that guy in the movie theater that's calling out, like, who's going to die next? Who's going to win? Like, guys, this is boring. And then everybody's like, shut up! Stop talking!
Stop talking! Yeah. Yep. That's okay. As long as you don't ruin it and you just listen. It's all about consent, guys.
Yes. I like that. Yeah, consent's the key word. Don't say anything unless you have consent. And even if you do have consent, don't say anything. Just shut up.
Don't say it. Zip it.
All right.
So,
yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. It gets worse.
Good. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys. Genuinely. It's fascinating.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. We'll get part 2 out after this one. A couple housekeeping things. Remember, if you have a trash can fire, or if you just want to say hi, or if you have an episode idea of some weird historical nonsense, maybe a palate cleanser, because I'm still trying to find one, email us at thedaysdumpsterfire@gmail.com, or you can message us on Instagram, which Deja was kind enough to take over here pretty soon, I think.
Revamp, remodel.
Yeah, she's gonna redo the whole thing, which is good. So you can reach us there, and I'm probably forgetting something, but it is late, so I'm just going to
we have a website coming.
Yeah, website's coming.
Kara has been putting a ton of work into the website. I have no patience for something like that. My job is to edit the things.
No patience for something like that.
As he edits.
I can't. I get so frustrated with websites and stuff like that, even though I like making forms in Microsoft Word. But
I like building websites, but the process of it's very frustrating.
It's tedious, what it is.
It's very tedious.
It's almost like we need a sponsor for a website making.
I know a guy. I worked at GoDaddy for 6 months.
She knows the guy, everybody.
His name's Daddy.
Oh, good.
GoDaddy.
His name is Daddy, and
sponsor us.
Funny.
And I have no way of paying him back.
No, me either.
On that note, we will see you in the next one. Thank you, Deja. Thanks for listening,
Thank you, guys.
Yes, great episode. So
we'll catch you next time.
All right, keep it a hot mess, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.